the letter Ra, its makharij and rules. First thing to note then, the Arabic Ra is not like the English R. Okay, so if you try to say the English word raft, now normally with the English R, the two sides of the tongue touch the upper left and right side of the teeth, or upper left and right teeth rather, and the tip of the tongue generally does not touch the front top of the mouth. It stays slightly away. So we're going to look at how that differs from the Arabic Ra. There are many rules to govern when the Arabic Ra is light or heavy, and we're going to cover that in a few slides. So let's talk about the actual makharij. So the heavy Ra is pronounced by using the underside of the tip of the tongue touching the top front hard palate. Do not round the lips, and I'll explain this in a minute. The light Ra is pronounced by very slightly gliding the tip of the tongue from the point of articulation backwards. Start with a slight smile, and again I'll explain this. So let's start with these makharij diagrams. Now these are general, they're not exactly precise diagrams. So we'll start with the heavy Ra, and I'm just going to read this line. So it's Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Now the Ra here, so we had hirrah. So the Ra is pronounced by taking literally the underneath of the very tip of your tongue and touching it to the front hard palate in your mouth. And this takes a lot of practice because you've literally got to curl the tip of your tongue upwards, and this is not what you normally do in English, so it's quite a difficult thing to master. However, it forces the correct pronunciation. So again, if I was to say aura, try say aura and curl up the tip of your tongue so it touches the roof of your mouth. And the other thing to note is you do not round the lips. So some people, what they do is they do this aura. So that's closing the lips, making a round circle with the lips, and that muffles the sound of the Ra. You have to keep the mouth open. So it's aura. So the tip of the tongue, underneath of the tip of the tongue touches the top of the mouth, i.e. the hard palate, plus your mouth remains open. Now the light Ra is very different. So I'm just going to read this line. Min sharri ma khalaq. So it's sharri. Now what happens here is the point of articulation is the same, but the tip of the tongue lightly glides backwards towards the back of the mouth, and you sort of just skim the top of your mouth, and the back of the tongue never comes up. So with the heavy Ra, when you say the Ra, the back of the tongue comes up. Now when you start saying the light Ra, the back of the tongue must be down, and the easiest way to do this is when you go into the light Ra, you start with a slight smile. So say shari. What you don't want to do is say shari, because that's going from the sha, which is light, into a heavy Ra, because the back of your tongue will be up. So that would be shari. That's wrong. You have to say shari. So you must have a smile when you go into the light Ra, and then you glide the tongue very softly across the top of your mouth, but not too softly so that you lose the light Ra. If you do it too softly, it will sound like this, shari, and you lose the Ra. You have to say shari. So we'll have a look at some examples. So in the top line there we have, I won't read the whole line but just some of it, wa min shari, and again it's got the shadda, so we're holding it a bit. Now on the second line we've actually got a heavy and a light Ra, and this is a good example to see the difference. So we'll start with the bit after the hum. So it's sharrul bariyah. So note the sha is light and the ba is light, but the first one, the sha is light and the ra is heavy, so you go shar. So straight away from the light sha, and then you effectively lift the back of the tongue, touch the underneath of the tip of your tongue to the roof to get the heavy ra, so you go sharrul. But on the second one, the ba is light and the ra is light, so you say the ba light and keep the smile, and then glide the tip of your tongue backwards on the roof of your mouth. So you've got baril, sorry, bari. So it'll be the first one and the second one, sharrul bariyah, bariyah, bariyah. What you don't want is bariyah, because that's going from light to a heavy ra and then to the ya. Okay, so it's wrong if you do bari, that's wrong. It's bariyah. So just keep a smile when you go into the light ra, bariyah. So with the heavy and the light transitioning, if taking both words, you got sharrul bariyah. And again, this takes practice. It's a big problem initially when you're learning your tajweed, but if you practice enough and listen carefully, you'll get this. Now, in terms of the rules, there are lots of rules, so I've tried to summarize them here with some sort of summarized diagrams, you could call them. So the rules for the light ra. So essentially, if you've got a ra with a kasra, then it's light. So here we have rijal, rijal. And then if you have a letter with a kasra followed by a ra which has a sukoon, again the ra will be light. So here we've got tundir. Sorry, we've got an extra sukoon on the dal, shouldn't be there, but it says tundir. Now with this, the dir is when you say go into the ra which is light, try to keep a nice big smile. Tundir. Don't go tundir, because that'll be heavy. So keep or make a very big smile when you're going into that ra sakin. And then if the next one is if you've got the ra which is going to be sakin and it's preceded by a ya, then it's going to be light as well. So we've got here khabir, and again big smile on that last light ra. And the last rule here is if you've got a letter with a kasra followed by a sakin letter then followed by the ra which would be sakin, it goes light again. So this is dhikr, 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 and again the ra, you have to have a big smile, and it's a very slight ra. When you end on a sakin light ra, it's very light. So you normally just do a very big smile at the end and it should be okay. But again, these are difficult. It's easier to hear them when you pronounce an entire verse, and it's something you've got to practice with a teacher. Now in terms of the heavy ra, there's lots of rules. So the first one on the top right, we've got the ra with the fatha, that will be heavy. The ra with the dhamma, that will be heavy. A letter with a fatha and then a ra which is sakin will be heavy. So you've got maryama. A letter with a dhamma followed by a ra sakin, so that's mursalu, mursalu. And again with these heavy ones, just try to get the underneath of the tip of your tongue to the roof of your mouth. Then we have a if you've got the ra sakin preceded by the long vowel alif, so nar, nar, and then we've got the long vowel waw before the ra, so dhukur. And again with this at the end, because it's heavy, you won't be smiling. it's got a more heavier sound. Then if you've got a dhamma followed by a sakin letter followed by the sakin ra, that will give you a heavy ra. And these ones are very difficult. If you've got a sakin letter followed by a sakin letter, it's a bit difficult, especially with the ra. So this would be yusr, yusr. And again, if you try to get the tip of your tongue up towards the roof of the mouth, it should give you the correct sound. And then you've got the letter with a fatha followed by a sakin letter followed by the ra, which is sakin. So again, this is very difficult because you've got two sakin letters which follow each other. So this will be fajr, fajr. And you just try again not to smile because it's heavy, and you try to get the tip of your tongue up. And then moving across to the top left, we've got any letter with a kasra followed by the hamzatul wasl and then the ra sakin. So we've got nir tada, nir, nir. So again, go from the light ni into a ra and keep the tip of the tongue underneath up to the roof of the mouth. Then if you've got the ra sakin preceded by the hamzatul wasl, it's going to be heavy again. So this is irji'u, ir. And the last one here is when you have the ra sakin preceded by a kasra but followed by any heavy letter, then it will be pronounced heavy. So this is mirsad, mir, it goes heavy because of the heavy letter afterwards, but again you need the kasra before it. Okay, so a small warning here as well. The letter Ra has one of the characteristics, i.e. the sifat of takrir, and this is known as vibrating. And what you have to be careful of here is not to overdo the vibrating. So here we've got Bismillahirrahma. Okay, so when you say hirrah, now what happens is the tip of the tongue, it will vibrate a very slight bit, but what you cannot do is say hirra, hir, and make that really strong vibrating sound. If you do that, you've got to get rid of that. It's got to be very much a natural sound with the minimum vibration. So it's hirrah, hirrah. Okay, and that's the end of the lesson on the Ra. Again, this takes a lot of practice with a teacher.